Welcome to the Mustang Champions Insights Podcast, connecting audiences with those who work with, train, and compete with American Mustangs. Join us as we talk to fellow Mustang champions about their perspectives and experiences in working with Mustangs as companions and champions. Here's your host, Matt Manroe.
So I'd like to welcome you to the Mustang Champions Insights Podcast. You may or may not know that Mustang Champions is a nonprofit, and we work in partnership with the Bureau of Land Management Wild Horse and Burro program to help them get Mustangs that they've gathered off the range, to get them adopted and purchased and into private care into homes. I am Matt Manroe. I am the Executive Director of Mustang Champions. And our hope with this podcast is that we can introduce you to people from different backgrounds and experiences that currently own or have worked with and trained Mustangs for competitions, for work horses, or just to be great companion horses. Because we want you to understand the difference between Mustangs and domestic horses and how versatile they can be, in the hope that you one day will own a Mustang for your own. I have the pleasure of being here today with Luke Castro. Welcome, Luke.
Thank you. It's an honor.
I know Luke from years and years of competitions, watching him compete and perform and excel. Honestly, Luke, in my point of view, I think you are definitely one of the top trainers in the United States. And it's just always a pleasure to be around you and your wife now, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So if you would you just start us off with just telling us a little bit about your history with horses first, how you might have first encountered a horse, and then we'll get into Mustangs.
Sure. So I definitely did not start out my life with horses or really a lot of animals, to be honest with you. Just a couple dogs here and there. I've always loved animals, but my dream was always to have a farm and horses and, farm animals and all that kind of stuff. I grew up in like a city, so, and not the greatest neighborhood. So my mom would take us down to like the countryside, and I would watch the horses with their swishing their tails and stuff. So my passion kind of started at a very young age, but I did not start actually riding until I was 19. So I did everything a little bit backwards, so I never even had a lesson and got a horse first. So
Nice.
it was a graduation present. He was a graduation present for me.
Wow.
Late graduation present for me. And it all kind of started. My brother worked for this lady who he started grooming some of her backyard trail horses for her, and he took me one time to see him, and that was kind of, in addition to being a kid and wanting to do it, that's kind of what really sparked the passion. And he ended up getting one later in his life, and then I followed suit and stuck with it, and that's kind of how it all started for me. But yeah, I learned a lot of what I've learned the hard way, if you will.
So how did you get connected to Mustangs?
The way it started for me is actually, the horse world is so small, and I'm sure a lot of people will understand what I say by that. So I was looking for another horse in addition to my very first horse that I had. Again, at the time, I kind of did things backwards, so I thought I needed something a little more than what I already had, which was not true. So I came in contact with a lady who lived locally and who had some horses that were looking for homes, and I ended up, little did I know that would end up being my future wife's. I ended up buying a thoroughbred from her and realized that I was out-horsed really, really fast, and she had another horse that we kind of traded for, and it was a Mustang. So at the time, I also thought I was out-horsed, but I loved the connection that I gained with that Mustang very fast within a couple months. He did buck me off. And again, I had no clue what I was doing and should not have owned anything that wasn't completely bomb-proof. But we made this connection on the ground that was so cool and phenomenal. And then I realized, riding-wise, he deserved better than what I was at that time. So I did find him a home, and about a year later, I found a Mustang that had actually been part of a Mustang makeover. And he was older. I believe he was in like one of the first ones here in locally here in Norco, California. And I bought him, and he took amazing care of me. And when I started needing to actually go up the next level to a different horse, I gave him to my uncle, and my uncle rode him. And he was in his 60s, and he rode him all over the busy streets of Ontario, California, where we shouldn't have been riding with the diesels and stuff. So he kind of got me started, but it wasn't until later, even though I mentioned that he was part of a makeover that I had found out that he actually wasn't a makeover. So I met this gal at a local gymkhana, and she had two of the most beautiful horses to this day, I think I've ever seen. And I asked her about them, and she was like, she did the gymkhana, and then she rode up to the mountain that was right next, and she rode up to the top, and she's carrying a flag. And I was like, what kind of horse is this? And she's like, it's a Mustang, and it was wild 60 days ago. And I was like, excuse me, what? And she's like, yeah. So I said, well, what is the program? So I found out what the program was. I applied, and this is only about 3 years after riding. I applied, was really young and dumb, and I did not get approved that first year. Thank God. That would have been a disaster. And then I just kind of kept riding as much as I could, and then I applied the next year and got approved and got my first one.
So I consider gentling a wild horse a God gift, but two, a learned skill. How did you go about gentling your first Mustangs?
My first mare was probably not the best one for somebody who had never learned. My first makeover mare, but I did have, I had another horse that I bought from an auction. She was a quarter horse mare, but she was completely wild, and she kind of got me started on that. And she was the nastiest thing that you ever did see. So anything that I got after that, that mare has been fairly simple. Sure, I've had some pretty tough ones, but after her, she kind of taught me how to get around a wild one, etc. I did have a few friends help me here and there, try and teach me better ways to do it. But honestly, the best teacher I've had for it has been the wild horse for me to gentle him.
Well, and I know the Mustang community is very available to help each other with techniques and to teach people that process, because gentling is just something, if compared to the domestic horse world, colt starting, gentling a wild horse is not commonly known.
Mm-hmm.
How to. So
Right.
congrats on that. So now let's talk a little bit about how many you think you have worked with and gentled.
Oh gosh. So I was part of the tip program for a while. I've had a lot of customers when I got better, bring me wild ones, and I've also done quite a bit of makeovers. So I would say probably over 200.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, something
Wow.
like that. And then, of course, helping the community, our local community here in Norco with Mustangs they've had. So,
Right.
yeah,
Well, man, congratulations on that
thank you.
alone. Now let's talk a little bit about your experience competing with Mustangs, and I know you have had great success, and you have been in top 10 competitions many, many times. Give me some numbers on that.
Yeah, so I count all the makeovers that I've competed in, even if my horses didn't make it to the show. So I've competed in 17 makeovers, three of which those horses were not going to be fit mentally for the time period, which was fine.
Right.
And then altogether that I have competed in has been 14 and shown with. It's been about 14 makeovers.
Nice. And how many competitions have you been champion?
Unfortunately, only one. So I'm still chasing that champion title again. I won it as many times as possible. So in
Right.
2019, I was the Mustang Magic champion. I have been in the top 10 times.
Excellent. And you
Yes.
just were in the top 10 in our Western discipline competition in Las
Yes.
Vegas Mustang Challenge this July.
Yes. What a blast that was.
What a beautiful venue. You know,
Oh, yes.
South Point is excellent. And I know that you are getting ready, and believe it or not, this Mustang Magic is the 17th Mustang Magic coming up this January.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
So
wow.
you are preparing at the moment to compete in January, correct?
Yes, sir.
How's that
Yes.
going?
It's going well. It's kind of strange for me. I typically somehow always get horses that are very are a little bit more on the wild side. They've always
Thanks for
come around
tuning
for me
in to
just
the
fine. But this
Mustang
mare
Champions
is
Insights
younger
Podcast.
than I
We
would
hope you
normally
enjoyed
pick,
this
and
insightful journey
I've
into the
ridden
world
her
of
a
the
lot
American Mustang.
sooner. I've
Please
been
share
able
this
to ride her
episode
a
and
lot. She's
contact Matt
allowed me to
anytime
ride
at
her a lot sooner than I
matt.manroe at
normally would.
mustangchampions.org. And join us
And
again for
I'm just
another episode of
honestly
the
having
Mustang
a
Champions
blast with this
Insights
mare. She's been
Podcast on
so
the
cool.
Equus
That
Radio
doesn't mean she
Network.
hasn't had her challenges. For sure she has, but she's just been so fun to work with, and I'm really excited about it. I don't know how it'll go, but I'm just
What,
gonna
what
have
horse
fun.
management area is she from?
She's a 3-year-old from the Twin Peaks HMA.
Which it's one of my favorite areas.
Yes, yes,
They tend to be a little larger, is my experience of going to satellite adoptions and looking at a lot of Mustangs.
yes. She's for me. I mean, most most Mustangs are very versatile, but the Twin Peaks herd seems to be a pretty versatile herd. And like you said, they're definitely on the larger side. As a 3-year-old, she's probably around 15 hands already, and she's got some more time to grow. I would not doubt that she ends up like 15-2 or so.
Right.
So
And so, something that people might not know about our Mustang Magic competition is that all of the horses that will be competing in Fort Worth in January will be available to be adopted. And if you come to Mustang Magic, you can meet the trainers who are competing with the Mustangs. You can meet the Mustangs themselves. And then on Saturday night, which is January 24th next year, we will have an auction, and those competition Mustangs will be auctioned off. So it really is an opportunity for people to get a Mustang that is much further along in training. Not a made horse, right?
right.
Yeah, but at least that initial training has happened, and they have been at the competitive level. So I really want to encourage people to do some research if you're interested in adopting a Mustang. And if you're lucky, you get to have Luke Castro's Mustang from Mustang Magic this year.
Yes. Yeah, and I would like to just kind of say, if you're interested, those Meet the Mustang times and the time where you get to go talk with the trainers and stuff, if you're interested, please come talk to us. We really, at least for me, I can say, and I know for most of the trainers, we really care about where our horses go, and we want to make sure that the transition from trainer to new owner is going to go smoothly. So, and the Mustang community is so huge that, even though maybe you're not close to us, like for me, I live in California, you might live in Texas. I know tons of Mustang trainers in Texas who can help you. So, it's very important to communicate what you're looking for. And I know for myself and for most of the other trainers, we're going to be as honest as we can possibly be because we want those horses to go to good homes.
Right. And I know people oftentimes are hired to continue to train the horses to a
Yes.
higher level before the exchange happens.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you can do it, if you can swing it, I would say do that. And also, if you can also swing it, go get lessons and learn how to ride that horse because every horse, and not just Mustangs, but every horse is different and has different cues and At my barn, we do some consignments, and I help some of my owners look for horses and stuff. And I'll tell you, putting a new rider on a horse that's trained a certain way is always going to be different. So if you can swing it, definitely go get lessons with that trainer.
Well, Luke, thank you very much, and thank you for your passion to work with Mustangs and compete with Mustangs, and you are a definite Mustang champion.
Thank you. I appreciate, and I'm honored that you guys asked me to do this. So Thank you very much.
Well, thank you again.
Thanks for tuning in to the Mustang Champions Insights Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this insightful journey into the world of the American Mustang. Please share this episode and contact Matt anytime at matt.manroe@mustangchampions.org. And join us again for another episode of the Mustang Champions Insights Podcast on the Equus Radio Network.